Taxi driver. All right. Check, check, 1, 2. We got levels there. Let's check the mixer. Noise incoming.
We're on!
Did that come through?
Yep.
Cool. Cool. All right. I guess we'll tweet and get a move on.
Perfect.
Hey, chat room, if you can see this. Okay, we're seeing hellos, so I'm assuming you
Yeah,
can.
we are functional.
Yay.
This day.
Sweet.
Yeah. At the new early time.
Yeah, well, earlier than even the new early time.
The freedom to have earlier times.
So for future reference, Dunk, our new time is 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific. We pushed it even an hour earlier today just because I'll be traveling as soon as we're done with the show.
Awesome.
Cool. All right, I guess let's do it. I'm going to bring up that intro video and Into the Nexus episode 214 records live in 3, 2, 1. Into the Nexus is a production of amove.tv. Bookmark AMove TV for other great video games and esports podcasts. Into the Nexus is sponsored by listeners like you via patreon.com/ITN. Welcome back, everyone. It is time for Into the Nexus, this show all about Heroes of the Storm. I'm Garrett Weinzierl, he's Kyle Fergusson, and joining for the first time in a while, because he's been busy casting, Dunk Train. Welcome back, Dunk.
Hey, man. Good to be back.
Good to have you. Good to have you. You have been missed.
Oh, I appreciate that, man. Yeah, it was awesome. I was doing dorm for the round robin stages. It was sweet. Traveling back and forth to Cali, not so sweet, but absolutely worth it. And I'm excited. We finally have our Heroic 4 decided. So hopefully some of you guys watching will actually be able to be there in California to see that live. It's always a good time.
Rad, dude. Were they flying you out, or did you have to make the drive in every time?
I'm getting. They were flying me out for the group stages. And I'm also
that's merciful.
getting flown out to the finals. Yeah.
That's good. That's good. Well, yeah, man, that's awesome. It's been great seeing you get to cast that.
How's the general performance?
I was discussing this the other day on stream, I think. Oh, or maybe in an interview, but I really feel like the dorm teams have leveled up a lot this year. I remember the first year, like, it was kind of all over the place, and I just feel like every year they've been getting better. Like, there's just so much more pro content to watch now. Like, there's so much more information out there about how to play at the high levels, and I really feel like the dorm teams are kind of taking that to heart. So, I feel like the teams are much better this year. Like, the top 4 we have this year are actually good teams. Like, you could see them compete in the open and, like, maybe even make it to Crucible type stuff for the best teams. So, it's pretty crazy.
Nice.
That's rad. Well, what about heroes overall? I mean, you have plenty of other outlets, but we haven't talked to you in a while. How has the game been treating you? Like, let's call this pre-Kane. Let's do a catch up with you pre-Kane.
Yeah, so pre-Kane, I was a little frustrated with like all of the Tracer running around. Like, I wasn't having a great time in Hero League. She finally got messed with, and that was really good. But overall, I've actually just been kind of jamming the new Hearthstone expansion until Kane drew me back to Heroes. As far as Hero League goes, like, I know this season everyone's like super high on points because they adjust how the point system works in GM. So like Snitch and Mene are going back and forth at like 20,000 points or whatever. And I was like, oh my God, that's insane. That's way different than before. But over here, I was just like, I'm rank 2 in Hearthstone, man. I'm good to go.
Yeah, it's really great. It's really making me feel good, Dunk, that the one game where I could take solace in the fact that I was higher ranked than you. You were currently higher ranked than me in. I cannot break out of rank 3 in Hearthstone. And every time I get, I'm just like, oh, look at Doug sitting at rank 2. Yep, this feels good. This feels good. I don't also
do 1 star.
I also don't.
I only have 1 star.
All right. Well, oh, that's good. Did you make it through all that? All the Reddit kind of upheaval? Okay. I mean, did you keep your head down in the Hearthstone during all that?
I don't know, man. I feel like Reddit is a fickle beast. I think that's the best way to say it, man. They are just a fickle beast. They have no memory. It's just a roller coaster ride, man. Every time something happens, it's like, it's been that way forever. Or like it goes the other direction. Like, it's been this way forever. How dare you? I don't know, man.
Yeah, that's kind of my feeling too. Because like the day after the big blog post, it was just, oh, we love them. We love them so much. And I was annoyed just on both ends, because my issue wasn't the conversation being had. It's that it seemed like it was the only conversation being had. The top 15 posts were all basically a different riff on the same concept. And then the next day, it was the same thing, but the opposite end. It was like 15 "We Love Blizzard" posts, and I was like, "That's fine. Like, can we just keep this in one thread and have some other conversations?"
You guys have this modern problem I do on the internet, but whenever I read something like, "I love bananas. I'd do anything for a banana," and then the next day I see a post like, "Damn it, I hate all bananas. They're overpriced." I think it's the same guy. My brain puts those two in one dude's camp, and I'm like, "You can't have both." Oh my, it's totally two people. The internet's full of people. It gets me every time.
I think it's even easier to characterize like that when you're on Reddit, for example, because in your brain, I think it's all, this is Reddit's opinion. Not like this is an individual on Reddit. Like, I do that all the time too. I 100% agree. Because even on Reddit, like the actual person who posted it, the name is so small. Like, I literally never read who posts things. So to me, it's just Reddit. It's just a wall of text that one guy made. I don't know how he makes so much content and takes photographs all over the world and like cooks 50 different things a day. But this guy, he is productive, man.
Helps me find new punk bands to listen to too. Yeah, it's a savant.
Well, it's a little frightening, because they announced this week that they're removing comments on the blog post, which have never been, a good place to have a conversation. Mm-hmm. But I do feel like we're doubling down on Reddit being the primary feedback, because the forums have been accepted as an awful place for 10 years now.
I think that's fair, man. Like, we've gone through that, right? We used to have forums. We still technically have a subreddit, though. I'm done promoting it. There's too many places to have a conversation. Is at a certain point, I feel like you need to call a little bit. It needs to be a culling of conversation outlets.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think I've ever read the comments on one of their blog posts, so no. I don't like, sometimes you see the first comment and you're like, oh, now I remember why I don't read these. And then you leave the page.
And those bug reports, they have some important stuff in there, hidden down in there sometimes. And then I see that guy triggered by the top Chen picture again, and you move on with your day.
Pretty much.
Yeah. So that doesn't surprise me, but well, good. I'm glad you managed to keep a level head through all of this. And well, now we can stop pretending we are pre-Kane, because it's time for this week's Heroes News.
We're on, boys! Ha-ha! Let's liven up this place!
Point me to the stage.
Stay a while and listen.
And of course, we are now post Kane. BC stands for something different in Heroes now.
Heck yeah.
Yeah. So Kane is out. I was on Brawl with the Blues yesterday. Got to play with Selenity and Kala and Jeff and Jay Howe and Kyle from the Heroes team, who kind of made Deckard Kane. So that was a treat. Even though all of us that weren't on the Jay Howe Blizzard account screwed up and accidentally queued into a game, and they had to play a game without us on stream.
Oh my gosh.
I do not know what happened. They told us there's a 10-minute break. I walked away to use the restroom, came back, we were in a game. I'm like, wait, if so, the Blizzard account dropped account, and I'm like, wait, if someone drops, you're not supposed to be able to queue. What happened here? How did this happen? Who's this random Illidan?
Wait, that's crazy.
Yeah, and we were very confused. That game did not go well. That random Illidan was very mad, and I would like to apologize if you're listening. Yeah. So, Whatever the case is. Yeah, so Kane is here. I had so much fun yesterday playing Brawl with the Blues and kind of opened my eyes to the potential of Deckard, because last week, Kyle, I feel like you and I kind of left the show being like, yeah, he's super cool, really cool kit, glad he's coming. Probably not going to make any waves in the competitive side of things. But we made the dumbest comps just stomp like crazy yesterday, so I think there's something there.
He's, I think we called it pretty well with the Lily factor. There's a lot of moments where you can go, just kill Deckard Cain, and then he just starts chugging as he's running away. He's actually pretty resilient. 10 armor on there, too. Currently at a 46% win rate in Hero League, but this is one of those odd moments where everything on top, pro scene, is saying OP. OP release. Do you agree, Dunk?
Ooh. Do I agree? At first, I really wanted to say, yeah, Kane is overpowered. At first, when I saw him on PTR, I was like, oh god, this is so busted, right? And then I played a bunch more with him on release day, leveling him to 5, and then I got him in Hero League, and he was just going to like last. I got him last pick in Hero League on day 1, which is like unheard of for new releases. Yeah, he's a support, but even then, like I couldn't get Stukov on day 1 in last. It just wasn't happening.
It's right? I blame Zerg. People are very excited about Zergs.
Maybe, but people were excited for Kane too, right? So, I mean, who doesn't want to run around as an
No, it's the banana guy on Reddit. He was very excited for Kane, but then Kane came out, and now he's not excited.
I see. Yeah. Anyway, I think he's good. I think his power is hard to access for the average player, though, because one, you can miss your heals. So he's got the Ana problem where you might just not land your heal on the person because, let's be honest, they're not going to run in a manner where you can predict where they're going. They're going to, for some reason, swoop back towards the enemy team because they expect a heal coming when the heal was coming where they were running away from the enemy team. Happened many times to me in my games. And then second, his root is really hard to land. Even as follow-up, it's so slow, it's hard to land. So combine that with the fact that, like, I feel like it's a little hard to be impactful on Kane if you don't have time to get the easy, like, pre-set up potions and stuff.
I get you with the root. The root makes me think that he's more map dependent than we may have initially even had a conversation about, at least on this show. I don't think we really talked about the fact that because his triangle route is so slow that it would probably make him a more favored pick on anything that involves standing on a pad.
My brain still hasn't figured out the triangle, though. I see one line of the triangle go, and it goes, we don't know which way that's going, man.
Yeah, actually, I've got caught in it so many times this week for that very reason. I saw it coming, I'm like, I need to move. And then I'm like, wait, I don't know which direction I need to move. Shit.
It's been a visual fiesta in Quick Match with 2 Canes. Very hard to tell what's going on.
Oh, yeah. Definitely agree with that. Those quick match games 11 to 5 were super confusing.
Oh, I started doing that really embarrassing thing that you like. It used to be saved only for elemental thrall skin where you thought you had a living bomb on you, so you start moving like a jackass and you don't. And there's not even a Kael'thas on the other team, but now it's happening because I see the triangle start being drawn. I'm like, oh, gotta get out of that. And then I realize, oh wait, it's a blue triangle. That's our own Kane. Oh, but here's the red triangle. I literally just walked into the wrong triangle and now I'm rooted.
My favorite were like the triangle Venn diagrams that happen where like, I don't know where to stand. Oh, God.
Yep.
I mean, I was on the receiving end of this strategy first and then employed it with my own team. We talked about it here before. One of the best ways to do a wombo combo is to lead with the least reliable CC first so that if that misses, you all just kind of go, we'll do it again some other time. So we've been doing Kane basically engage support, which is crazy, forward, gets the triangle landed, and then Tyrael Judgment, Illidan charge. We actually ran an Illidan. It was a blast. Butcher goes in, just nothing but point-and-click charge characters to delete one person.
I've been having a lot of success with Kane as Initiator using Stay a While and Listen, actually. Like, the range is deceptively long, and if you just, like, put 2 people to sleep and your team engages on the other members of their team, like, it's really hard to win that fight. I mean, and if you're Kane, you can actually cast Stay a While and Listen, and then like it sets up your own scroll of sealing. Like if you wait for the last tick of sleep to happen, when it ends and you immediately cast scroll of sealing, they have to have like a movement ability to get out of it before it triggers. Like,
oh, that's right, 2 seconds.
Yeah, it's actually pretty devastating. So I was having a lot of success with that in my Hero League games.
Yeah, we were comboing it with things like Entomb.
Yeah.
So when the sleep was over, they were in an Entomb, and then I was on Sonya, so I went Leap. So even if they survived the Entomb, they got stunned on the way out.
Nice.
I mean, that's really cute and probably too much. Like that was very much like a win more. But yeah, I could one of those I think would be fine. Comboing it with an Entomb, comboing it with a Mosh Pit.
Yeah, I actually had that one game, the Mosh Pit, to follow up on my Stay a While and Listen, and it was insane.
Yeah, like you can just get the most perfect mosh pits ever. Like, what's the dream as ETC? Oh, I get to like micromanage my footwork to get exactly where I want to get max coverage on my mosh pit. Are you kidding me?
My opponents are standing still for 2 seconds, so I can just walk up and mosh pit. Seems good.
Yep. And even if you get really excited and you power slide through it and wake them up, they're still going to get hit by the mosh pit, so it's fine. That was the hardest thing, actually. My whirlwind on Sonya was ruining Stay a While and Listens like crazy yesterday.
I definitely found... Oh, go ahead.
Oh, we tried to run a Sonya in our own comp, but ended up going with more early game picks. Because kind of like an Uther situation, your healing potions are a static amount unless you have a level lead. And it's really hard to have survivability to wiggle around and get your potions if you don't have that. So kind of, even though Sonya's great in solo lane, great for taking camps, we found that we were just getting a stun too late to actually perform any sort of combo and start that snowball.
Yeah, I think she's more of a detriment to a Deckard comp. That being said, we got to see the level 20, or no, is it level? What's the talent where the potions get larger and heal more? Is that 20?
13.
13.
Yeah,
okay.
super healing.
Yeah, super healing potions are pretty gnarly.
They're ridiculous. They're absolutely ridiculous. And when you get to 20 and the potions stick around, like, it's hard for me to be like, yeah, early game hero. Because when you get to level 20 and those potions are they never go away. It's just dumb. It's ridiculous how much they heal for.
Yeah, if you have all 5 potions set up on a siege or something, you just have an unbelievable amount of healing. Because you can still cast fresh potions. It is actually absurd, that level 20 talent for sustaining sieges.
I got to do Sushi Belt on Volskaya. It was fantastic.
Wait, do the potions move on the belt?
Yeah, they do. They move around.
Oh my god.
That's so rad.
I had them all just going.
Oh, that's great.
My Diablo ended up running the wrong direction. All 5 potions ran right into him. It was perfect.
They come back around eventually.
But all of day one, I was being a lazy man. I'm a bit of a lazy Stukov player, too. I usually alt-click my own heal onto myself and then let it spread from there. Because, I'm busy. I'm trying to viral reaction, right?
Oh, yeah. Got a lot going on.
Potion of Revival just makes things so easy. The splash. You only get 30% of the healing amount, but you're just chugging, and it's splashing. You just stand in the middle of everything. You stack that with some of that safety and numbers, and that's easy town.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Dunk, you were the one on this show to introduce us to the phrase "burden of execution," and I'm lumping Deckard into this. I think Deckard is one of those heroes like a Medivh who has a ton of potential, but you're just signing up to work harder than you would need to, taking a different hero. There's just something about Deckard for me personally. I think this is the first I would call burden of execution hero that I'm like pulling for. This is the one that finally, like, Medivh, I hate him. I have no interest in ever playing him. I don't even want him on my team. There's just something about Medivh that just never, just offends me on a personal level. But Kayn, I love him. I really like the way potions work. And I see the issues. I see the weak points in the armor. There's just something about Kayn that I've been sold on.
I think for me, it's probably the potion noise. That classic Diablo 2 potion noise is so satisfying. It kind of annoys me that I just have to mash Q all game, but it's worth it for the payoff of hearing the potion sound each time. So I think that's what does it for me, where I actually want to play this hero just to hear the sound of healing potion.
Yeah.
I think for me, it's Herodric's Staff. I got to play a game against a Genji, and every time he dove the back line, just Deckard Cain was like, get some!
Just poking him with the stick.
My favorite is, someone dives your backline and you cast Ancient Blessings and you guys just go to town on him. Like I was beating Genji's down, beating Zeratul down because you pop Ancient Blessings and like their diver doesn't expect your Kayn to be autoing for like 300 a hit. But like I've got this huge attack damage steroid that's also healing me. I'm chugging my own potion and chugging potions in one hand, beating you down with the staff in the other. Like that, it was so gnarly. I think Ancient Blessings is actually insane. Like in coordinated games where you can synergize the burst, like, oh, that talent's going to be disgusting.
Now we did get an answer on this. There is a 1 second hidden cooldown on the additional damage you get, but
yeah.
It's still nuts. And in fact, there's actually a bug right now, too. People were thinking of comboing this with Tracer, and every single little attack is doing this bonus damage. Nope, there's a 1 second cooldown. But there is a bug right now where Rejuvenation Potion is restoring 10 of non-mana resources.
I saw that on Reddit.
Yeah, Rage and bullets and grenades for Junkrat.
That's insane. Like, I didn't use any of that, as far as I know, in my games, but, like, that is ridiculous.
Yeah, it's clearly an issue. Yeah, I think for me, like you're onto something with the potion noise. Like it's very satisfying, but I think it's like I took so long to come around on Lily. Like you can go back to like the earlier episodes of it in the Nexus to just listen to me hate on Lily so much. And at some point it just clicked and I'm like, okay, no, she is a serious healer, even though like it's autopilot heals. And to me, Deckard just seems like a high skill cap Lily at the end of the day. Like it doesn't have the blind, but his heal it's similar enough that it makes me think of Lily. And he is such a mistake to dive. It's such a mistake to try and kill this particular support, much in the same way Lily is just prime bait. Like she's such a great bait hero, and Deckard feels very much the same way.
Yeah, there have been a lot of times where I've had situations where like I didn't expect to live, my stream didn't expect me to live, my team didn't expect me to live. Like it's just he just kind of like walks away and it's you get rooted, maybe you're chasing him, he gets away for 1 second, suddenly has an extra heal. Like he definitely is surprisingly survivable. I think in competitive you'll be able to dive him because he doesn't really have like the burst anti-dive tools so much. But for even like GM Hero League, the coordination is just not quite there, and he just punishes that so hard.
And that's what I'm really curious to see, because Stay a While and Listen in any lower league is just gonna fall flat. Even when you run a Kel'Thuzad with it, the chain connection does a little bit of damage, waking the person up, and you're gonna miss your own shots. And plus, we're in the reign of Diablo, so why not do this amazing thing that actually Gizmozord showed me by running inside your own Lornado?
Oh, Kyle mentioned this yesterday on Brawl with the Blues, and it blew my mind. I saw the Matrix. I was like, wait, you can,
Diablo's not do that during his own charge. So that's a knockback that completely ruins his cooldown, his engagement.
Yeah, we haven't even mentioned Lornado yet. Lornado's insane. Like, it's ridiculous. It's so freaking annoying. And I was dodging them all day yesterday on Brawl with the Blues because every opposing team also had a Deckard. So yeah, Lornado is what a good heroic. Like it's like I was like, yep, oh, what a great jokey punny name. Yeah. Stay a While and Listen's where it's gonna be, right? And like, no, I think you go Lornado.
I don't know. At first I thought that too, and while it's really impressive in choke points, I don't know. I think there's a reason to pick both. I'll put it that way.
If I'm playing with my friends on comms, I think I want Stay a While and Listen. If I'm taking Deckard into a pickup game, I think I want Lornado in most cases.
And that's something I've run into with Deckard this week. He has not been very enjoyable for pickup games just because you have that kind of Morales factor. You got to stay by people. And if you go to attend that top lane, which really has that Zagara that needs handling, it's the worst choice on earth. So you should just let it fall. But then you get behind. And like we talked about, the healing amount, Uther style, just doesn't work from behind. And it's easy to lose a game from there on out.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's very true. I'm not going to refute that at all.
I definitely had a moment on stream where like someone in my chat was like, why aren't you using your spells to wave clear? So I like went to a wave, cast both my spells. It does like 1/3 of the range minion's HP. And then I just like went off like, oh man, like super sarcastic, like, oh yeah, I should have been wave clearing the whole time. Oh my God. Like I definitely had some moments where I was like triggered from people not soaking lanes while I was playing Deckard.
A, it's the first week. B, have you tried? Yep. Good. Now I know what to type in your chat to trigger you.
Yeah.
We also have a lot of Garrosh running around right now, and if Garrosh is using his unstoppable engage where he unstopples himself, walks into Deckard, does the throw followed up by the slam for the stun, that's a dead Deckard.
Yeah, for sure.
So if we were to take him seriously, ignore any win rates, because really 46%, that's great in terms of any MOBA. Where would we take him? What would be the comp he would want to run in first? And I guess for that, like, when's his power spike? I feel like it's 20, right? It's great on both Sky alongside stuff like Nazebo.
I think if we're considering, like, we're in a 5-man and we're seriously considering drafting Deckard, I would consider his spike at 13 with Ancient Blessings once you're coordinated. And I probably want someone who has some insane synergy with Stay a While and Listen. Like, if I'm actually trying to set up a Deckard Kane comp. Like, I want to be able to initiate with Stay a While and Listen, or at least use it to isolate targets. Like, say you sleep frontline and then dive backline, or you like sleep backline and dive on them, like while ignoring the frontline. Just whatever you do, I think you need to have something that makes Stay Wild and Listen really good. Mosh Pit, Apocalypse, even just like Tyral Judgment, like you said, like just to isolate targets. I think you want something like that. And then think you want some burst damage to capitalize on Ancient Blessings. Once you hit 20 and can get Bottomless Flask, yeah, it's fantastic. But I don't think he's like a Nazebo where you're like, oh, we're playing for 20. It's just a nice perk, you know?
That makes a lot of sense. I mean, Ancient Blessings is a lot of throughput. Would you, any certain maps that you feel like he might be a bit more viable on?
I don't know. I'm trying to think where I felt like the triangle was easiest to land, but like it's just such an awkward shape. I don't know. I really like it. In general, I like him on, I feel like, Infernal Shrines and Volskaya, like you mentioned, where there's point control because you can show up 8 seconds early and just throw down 4 potions, and suddenly like your team has this extra reservoir of health that's really potent.
Does that feel weird for you? As like I mean, you're famous for being a support player. Is it weird to show up on like a Gazlo schedule? Like, all right, time to throw down my turrets.
Yeah, it's super weird. I don't know. Were you guys having this problem too, where like someone in your team would like take an auto attack from a range minion and then eat your potion? They're at like 99.8% HP and they just take your heal, and you're like, I worked so hard making those. My hands are stained with these alchemy ingredients, and you're just drinking them for no reason.
I mean, most of my Deckard experience this week came from Brawl of the Blue, so I was spoiled with really awesome teammates, but we had a couple tanks, myself included, accidentally walk over potions when you're missing like 50 health at some point, like, and that just feels bad. Yeah. But sometimes you gotta retreat, even though you're not damaged, like, and the potion's in the way.
Yeah, I mean, it happens, but that was something that was bothering me. But yeah, it is weird showing up early to things like to try and pre-heal.
But I think the Ruby mini potions are bumming me out the most because they shower everywhere, and I'm going, go get them, somebody.
No, this way, this direction. Yeah, it would be way too technical. I'm not even sure he would handle it from an interface aspect, but it'd be cool if there was some kind of toggle for like a damage threshold. Like, you must be missing this much health before the potion will trigger. That I don't know how you would do that, and you'd have to relay that to your team. But
yeah. Ruby has been so good for me, though, when people actually eat them. I agree with you. Getting people to actually walk on them is the hard part.
They are small. I mean, and there's a lot of red stuff. It's all enemy colors. We've had a report, too, that we will not be getting our rejuvenation potion to turn purple, since purple is the neutral color. But we've got red meat, and we've got red potions, and it works.
It's a lot of red. It is a lot of red.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I like him. It sounds like you're still on the fence a bit there, Dunk.
I enjoy him. I'm on the fence power level wise. I think maybe there's a little bit of the sky is falling in terms of like people immediately pronouncing him OP or whatever from the competitive side. I'm willing to believe he's good. but I don't think he's like suddenly been first pick or like unseating Malfurion or Stukov instantly from the top spots, you know?
Oh, yeah.
As far as support role.
You're not going to see me make that argument either.
I mean, there is a bit of conversation had there, though, because they have introduced us their new sort of design philosophy, which is whatever's good. It's kind of the Johanna philosophy. If it works for a tank, it works, and let's just give them stuff. Instead of doing these more rock, paper, scissors kind of releases. And much like Phoenix, who is sitting on a 4-second slow that doesn't diminish at 25%, and then we look at Butcher's slow and Lunara's slow, and we go, hang on, we're power creeping here, aren't we? Like, why is the support making a 1.5 second long route when Arthas has an even shorter one? And it's such a tiny area, too, when you think about that. I mean, setup and the triangle's got to draw, right?
Yeah. I don't know, man. It's different. Like, I always think it's interesting when you compare heroes directly like that, individual abilities. But it's just much easier to hit Howling Blast, and it's on a different character. It's also the cooldown for Howling Blast is much shorter, which is a big deal. But yeah, it is like that ability. If you just showed me what that ability did, I would think it was super broken. After playing with it, I'm like, nobody stands inside triangles. This ability is awful. Like, so I don't know. I'm torn.
Yeah, it's some of it. It's that straight edge. It's just like, oh, here's the line. I just need to get over this line, and I'm safe. Something about it. I don't know about that. Like, I get why the cube is a cube. Cube is the name, but why is a scroll a triangle? It's very cool looking. I'll give him that, but maybe draw a circle. You still have the drawing animation. I don't know. There's something about a circle that seems harder to get out up to me. But let's shift gears and let's talk about the reconfigured landing page when we get into Heroes of the Storm, because there is now an esports tab. Also, Heroes planting its flag with the capital E on esports, being like, I don't care. We're giving it a capital E.
Yeah. I mean, this is something that I think everyone who's been involved in the esports side has wanted, just more awareness in the client since forever. So this is just great. Like, it's there. It's on the top bar. Like, I don't know. Mine booted up straight to Deckard. I don't know if it like flips a coin or if it always boots up to Deckard and you have to click esports. But either way, like, more visibility is better.
Right.
So I'm
curious,
a huge fan.
I'm curious if they have the tech to just make this the default on weekends when events are currently live. So that would be neat.
They have done that with their previous sale and the Twitch loot that was showing before Phoenix for a time period.
Yeah. So that's I'd like to. I like that this is permanent. I love that, like, it's got the catch up on the HGC in the bottom left, where with like direct links to all of the content that they're putting out to keep people up to date on HGC. I like that it's not just about what either literally just finished or what's on right this moment.
Well, and they're also including the articles they're writing, which. How do you feel the war on education's been going, Dunk? It's a bizarre thing.
I would call it the war for education. When you call it the war on, it's just right. Like
mine sounds more CNN scandalous, though.
True. That's true.
True.
That's true. The war on ignorance.
There we go.
You go hard. There you go. I'm a big fan of them doing these articles. Like, they basically have someone who's a good writer and then have them talk to pros and stuff and convert their knowledge into understandable, digestible language that's grammatically correct and makes sense. I think that is a fantastic thing to do. I think it's great. As far as the actual impact it's having, I'm not sure. I suspect that the people who would normally find these articles are the same people who also watch streams and get this information anyway. So while it's awesome that these articles exist, so far I'm not convinced that they're reaching targets who wouldn't necessarily be invested already in like the esports and stuff. But I don't have the stats on that, so maybe it's working better than I think. But I think they're great.
That's an excellent point you made about the digestibility. There's, for a long time, in fact, when we first started the show, get good because of Dark Souls was kind of the phrase. Just get good. You just power it out, bro. It's nice that we are acknowledging that pros and many other professionals don't have the time nor have taken the resources to practice talking downwards to make sure that their information is digestible.
Yeah, it's extremely hard, actually. Like, most of the knowledge that pros have is kind of like that iceberg concept where most of your knowledge is not necessarily, it's like subconscious or whatever, where it's hard to explain things. You're like, I feel like this hero is broken. Why is this hero broken? I don't know. I play this hero and I feel good. Pros actually think that way. Like, that's how it is. You just have to trust your gut on a lot of stuff. So it can be like pulling teeth trying to get actual like information out of someone who's not, actually practiced that by being a streamer or by writing their own articles or being a coach or whatever. So I think it's great. It's just really difficult to articulate that knowledge sometimes.
Well, and you see a great example of it a lot in streams where people say, quote unquote, this is a clown fiesta, or this looks like my Silver League. And you're like, well, not quite, because Tracer just dodged 3 abilities and Zul'jin's stutter stepping. And that's not happening in Silver at all. But I get why this pile of noise looks stupid to you.
Yeah, absolutely.
I like that you're like, well, let's point out the subtle things that are happening. You're making me think of the weirdest thing that I never thought I would tie into video games ever. A side job of mine is doing contract work for a university, and I do a lot of work interviewing researchers. And we have to do a lot of work with them about how to explain what it is they have researched to anyone who's not a scientist, because I don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, I had jury duty, and they were going around asking, what's your burden? Why won't you be able to participate in jury duty? And they got to the scientists, and they're like, I have research projects. Describe them to me. And just lockdown, unable to really talk about what they're doing day to day because it's just so in their heads.
Yeah, I'm starting to think the people I work with are just like, well, here's Garrett. He has no idea what you're saying. If you can explain it to him, you can explain it to anybody. That's how I feel sometimes.
Well, and it's been interesting, too, because I'm making these training videos right now where I'm just going basic, just so we can have that point to say, look back here if you don't understand what a basic attack is. All right, we're moving forward, starting from the ground up. And this week I talked about armor, or just physical damage versus magic damage. And it's really left this weird hole that I've suddenly realized in Heroes, where last year, about February, we just made our game mad complex and then stopped doing that. And we have, like, look at the text on block. Provide physical armor versus a basic attack for 60%. But Maiev is the only character in the whole game that has a physical spell. So we haven't interacted with our own toys we made. And how do you teach that? Like, you just omit it. You straight up do not tell anyone what that does. You pull out your magic deck of nothing but flavor text cards and you start playing. You don't play any counter spells. You don't play anything weird against them. You just help them learn.
Yeah.
Through omission. It's kind of backwards, but it's how you got to do it.
Teaching's an art, I think. It's the TLDR on this entire sidebar. It does not come naturally, I think, to explain something that you know to someone who has absolutely no clue what you're talking about. So.
And some of these are fascinating. Like, I love superstitions text. I think that's a great, on Nazebo, a great little puzzle for the enemy to solve. How fun. Plus, I love it because Genji always gets in my face and does nothing but spell damage. And I'm like, sweet, I'm Nazebo.
Yep.
But, like, it's such a weird thing. And I wonder, with this big change of philosophy, how we're going to deal with these old characters, much like Lunara with a diminishing slow. Like, that seems so backwards and unpowerful now compared to something like Phoenix with full 4 seconds of 25% slow.
Yeah, I mean, diminishing slows have always felt pretty awkward to me personally. Like, they just don't feel like they do anything, but that's neither here nor there.
I feel like I remember diminishing slows being one of the very first things I ever started to notice a pattern of Kyle crapping on. Like, it's Kyle, you're one of the most... Bummer. You are one of the most positive people I know. You tend to find, like, the good in most decisions made in games, and even yours. Anytime, like in the early days, you're like, yeah, that slow diminishes. Don't take that talent; it's pointless.
Well, and when you played MOBAs for as long as I have been through Dota, where there's like a 10% slow, you're like, nobody knows that. No one even feels a 10% slow. You got to at least be up to 25 before I care what you've done to me.
Yeah. Now I want some magical universe where you are aware of how many times a 10% slow caused you to die, Kyle.
It'd be interesting.
I'm just imagining all the times I was running down the river from an Omni Knight who's just smacking me on the ass once every 6 seconds because of his 10% slow, and then I finally die. That's my Dota memories of 10% slows.
I was a Venomancer main, so I love some slow.
Oh, that's so good. Well, shall we move into strategy and talk some, get a little more nitty gritty with supports?
Yeah.
Choose a talent.
Choose a talent.
Talent? Ah, that seems generous.
Don't reveal our plans to our foes. I mean it. Not a word.
So, I mean, we can also kind of tie this into the conversation around getting another ban in the second phase.
Ooh, we didn't touch on that at all. Have you guys talked about that much?
Yeah, we talked about it. We touched on it a bit. We had some members of Tempo Storm on. We talked about it with them.
Okay.
And actually, yeah, real quick, hot take. Like, are you with everyone
you guys
else?
have probably beat it to death.
Well, I'm just curious. Are you in the same camp of the two bans should be earlier?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
I think 100% the two bans should be at the start.
It's more that we set up a fence and asked anyone else if they'd like to beat this horse.
That's actually very true.
Did you charge admission at least?
It's I mean, it's fascinating because there are such obvious counter bans that can be done in high leagues, and we talked about something like Tracer and Malfurion, but that doesn't even make it to Diamond. I've never seen that in one of my games. I'm ready for it, bring it on, but I mean, currently sitting at Diamond 2, you never see anything like that. So, for me, it's like ETC, yeah, let's get rid of Uther. And back in the Ana days, we had very obvious ones. Malthael's power in the past really brought on some obvious combos. But if you ask me today what I'm going to do with my bonus ban, I'm just going to restrict all the supports or the tanks that are still available over there.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
Because there's a good chance I can narrow down that non-support player into something he doesn't like to play, and we'll have an easier game.
Yeah, I definitely think in the second ban phase, like the we want it to make drafts different or make it feel like you're adapting more. It makes sense, but I just don't think it's going to work out that way.
So if this were to drop tomorrow, what would be an acceptable, or at least the acceptable early pick supports? Just, I'm a support player. Let's get it out of the way so no one has to maybe mess it up later on.
I mean, I think pretty much everyone agrees right now, like Stukov or Malfurion, you basically can't go wrong early picking one of them. They have powerful area denial tools. They have strong healing output. They have good heroic abilities. Like, they've basically got everything going for them. And personally, I think if you're picking any other healer than them before seeing multiple members of your opponent's composition or her composition, I think you're making a mistake. Like Uther, Alexstrasza, they can be strong, but they require more things to go right, I think.
That's fair.
So,
as far as spending your bans, I'm of the mind that Stukov over Malfurion, because I just feel like way more people have the capability of playing Stukov well than Malfurion.
I agree. I think Malfurion in his current state, because you have to be so active, like rolling the heals and hitting moonfires on targets, I think it's very difficult to be an excellent Malfurion, and it's also difficult to be an excellent Stukov, but I think it's a little easier to just be the Stukov who puts his lurking arm down and like the target dies because they got rooted in it, or like it's just zoning so much for so little effort, that sort of thing.
Well, and I feel like because you can still activate your trait while you're still got that hand down, you kind of have this advantage over Deckard Cain sitting there telling the story, unable to cast his potions and whatnot. I mean, it's it's dynamic, but unlike Malfurion, Stukov's very focused on what I'm doing and what I want to have an impact on. Is there something I want to learn Malfurion so bad? He looks like fun. He reminds me of World of Warcraft healing, but I've got quick match to train in, right? Like, it's not a conducive environment. What should I see on the enemy side that allows me to moonfire enough to actually take him? I feel like that's where I'm hitting the wall.
I'm not sure that it really matters. Like, it's definitely more comfortable to moonfire against an enemy comp that, say, has like two bruisery frontliners. So like you're against an Arthas Sonya style thing where they're just going to stand next to each other and hit your front line. Like, yeah, you're going to hit 2-man Moonfires all the time and it's going to be busted. But I don't think you really mind playing against solo tank or whatever. I think it's more of practice being really active as the support, like casting Moonfire on cooldown, because it's mentally something you're not like really putting a priority on. Generally, as a support, is casting your damage ability every time it's off cooldown, but it's not a damage ability, it's a healing ability now. And then you also have to roll your hots appropriately, and you also have to watch your positioning, and you also have to know the timing for Twilight Dream and look for the follow-up route. Like, there's just a lot going on. So I think it's more experience with the hero than worrying too much about the compositions. Although Malfurion is excellent against hard solo dive like Genji, because you can just blow him to smithereens with Twilight Dream.
I think you just made me realize why I'm not playing Malfurion right now, because he feels like the Abathur of healers with how busy I am, and I don't have the benefit of being safe in my base.
Yeah, definitely.
Wow. I just had an epiphany. Thank you, Dunk. Thank you.
I know when I've tried it with my lower league friends, there's a problem among many, many characters where if I start moonfiring X or I start stacking on a tank, everyone starts targeting the tank. And we kind of have to take that moment to say, no, I'm doing this. I'm healing everybody. This is not the target.
Yeah, and Moonfire is like a big visual indicator too. So it kind of makes your team think, oh my God, he's got a flashing light on him. Let's target him. Like, you know?
Maybe that's one of the outliers, like Brightwing Spit. It's like, hold up, everybody, check out where Brightwing spitting today. I don't need this much information.
This skill shot does not matter as much as it has visual priority. Yeah.
hadn't really considered that.
So if we're in the early picks, we got Malfurion, we got Stukov, certainly Stukov in just about every rank. As we make it past that now bigger second ban, I feel like we're going to lose a lot of the easier mainstays like Rhaegar, depending on your league, Morales, certainly Brightwings. Maybe that's a great targeted ban in gold just because a lot of people play Brightwing. That leaves you with like Lili, Kharazim, some weird stuff. Like where would you put your points? Where would you get that roster filled out?
Yeah, it's tough. So let's say like you're a player who's just trying to be like, okay, I can feel salt. I mean, I can feel support if I really need to. Even if it's like a slip up. I can feel support if I need to, so I'm going to be a responsible human being if I'm last pick and know 2.5 supports, right? Like, you're going to want to know Malf or Stukov. But then, yeah, with extra bans coming, a lot of times I think they're going to get targeted on, like, Uther or Rhaegar, like you said. I don't have experience with Morales or Brightwing getting banned, but I'm willing to believe you. I think Alexstrasza is undervalued right now in terms of, like, how much she gets picked. I don't ever see her in my games really, but she's still really powerful. Like, all you have to do is learn basically timings for when you feel right to pop Dragon Form or Cleansing Flame, and you can be a beast. And then similarly, I think Lucio's a really good one to like invest a little bit of effort into learning, and that's good enough. Like, he's not that hard. You just kind of run around, pop, amp, heal. You're doing your job. So those are probably the two I'd recommend as like, they're not super meta anymore, but if you invest a little bit of time, more in Alexstrasza than Lucio as far as time required, but they're worth learning, I think.
Yeah, Alexstrasza has really benefited from playing Phoenix, actually, because of his phase out, his warp. And when you realize that you disappear from reality when you transform into dragon, you can dodge some crazy stuff.
Yeah. And if you're in dragon form, Cleansing Flame has like a really short cast time, or maybe it's even instant. So you can use it to dodge stuff really easily, like make it look like you're in a bad position. You immediately fly up in the air, and it's really powerful.
Oh, that's interesting. I haven't experimented. I know that being in Dragon Queen first allows you to actually be rather beefy, and you can land somewhere, do a body block at the end of it, maybe. But I didn't realize that Cleansing Flame is a shorter cast time when you're in that dragon.
I'm 99% sure.
Yeah. I mean, now I'm making a big deal about it, but that's really an exciting idea. So what about our other oddballs? Like, we had an Ariel update recently that I'm seeing Val again with like an Abathur kind of like padding it out, but we're just not doing it anymore.
I don't know. Ariel, Ana, Kharazim, they kind of feel like they're left out in the cold, man. It's raining. They're at the back door. They want to get inside the house where it's warm and, you know, you're balanced appropriately. But I don't feel like they belong.
I mean, that Ariel update, you know, there's nothing bad about it, right? Like, it was all good. It was all a buff, like, across the board. But I think it just wasn't enough. And Ariel is the type of healer that, like, I'm afraid of, because I remember when we were in this Ariel meta and it was the only thing we were seeing. I'm just afraid to go back to that. Like, I wouldn't mind going back to double support, but I don't want to go back to Ariel.
It's really important to remember too that we were in Hanamura with Haunted Mines in the rotation as well. We had a lot of 2-lane maps.
Oh God. I miss Hanamura. I've been so done with Haunted Mines.
Wow. Yeah, that just reminded me.
So Kyle, is your defense of Ariel, hey, remember all of the other things you hate more that was around the same time as the Ariel meta?
I mean, there were things making her more powerful. I mean, I had to play Deckard Cain on Blackheart's Bay this week. That felt awful. But, you know, we're all trying to find an environment to learn in. You know
what felt awful was taking Zool in Brawl with the Blues, and the next game, when you don't take him, you get Blackheart's Bay. That's what felt bad.
I mean, do we have... And Deckard Cain got me excited for this, too. You know, he's got some enhancement abilities. He's not the best, maybe, healer in the world. I love Uther. What can we do a double support? And it feels like... No.
I don't think so. I think Cain is particularly bad in double support. You just don't have the, like, offensive tools to assist your team in double support well enough, I don't think, in the current game state.
What about those Kavrazims, Annas? Can we, like, what if someone early picks that? Can I fill it out with something else?
I mean, you can go for it. It's probably fine. I don't think you're just completely hosed if you have, like, a Karazim Malf or a Karazim Stukov, but then, like, it's just Malfear and a Stukov lifting the heavy weights, and Karazim's like, I'm here! You know, like, he's more of a pseudo-assassin in that role.
I mean, removing Deckard from the equation, Kyle, before the show, you were talking about the MasterLeague.net statistics for HGC, and you were talking about the double support, double assassin having the highest win rate over there. So removing Deckard from the equation, is there a world for double support?
And it's interesting because we flirted with it when Tracer got her change up with Tassadar, which did not work out, and Tassadar has since gone back to his poor, quiet little home in the mountains. Also, I think Masters League is sometimes, I may be wrong about this, but sometimes Medivh is being flagged as a support, particularly on hot slogs. So those double support comps might be padded out.
Gotcha. Okay.
But it is interesting. It is interesting to see. If we weren't doing the more obvious kind of ban style, the easier to know ban style, just being like, they don't have a tank, let's get rid of tanks. They don't have a support, let's get rid of all the supports we don't want to fight. What would you say are the next, like, obvious things that have to be removed if some character has been pre-picked?
I think Uther is one that's worth knowing the specific targets of, like, what are the signs I should ban Uther here? Like, if they have an ETC, I want to ban Uther because dealing with Divine Mosh Pit is really hard in Hero League. If they have, like, a Genji, I want to ban Uther. I think that synergy is still frustrating to deal with, even with the changes to Genji. I think if you're on Towers of Doom, you can always have a mind for the Medivh ban or the Stitches ban or the Chromie ban. I think those three, they get bans occasionally in high level, but in general on that map in particular, there's, like, you don't want to let them have Stitches Medivh, or you don't want to let them have Chromie maybe. So I think those are map specific stuff. Like, there's a lot of things where you can get small optimizations from knowing the right bans, but overall, I'm of the opinion that in Hero League, you don't necessarily need to try to get crazy with your ban strategy, because people aren't picking the optimal things anyway. So even if you ban the optimal thing, you'll probably increase your win rate by a marginal amount over a long course of games where you're the banner. But realistically, ban strategy is not something I super worry about as far as Hero League, just because people pick what they like to play, man.
That's kind of what I was getting in with like the Stukov versus Malfurion. I go Stukov because I just think more people play that, and I mean, in my rank, I'm still thinking about. I just want to take a pick away from someone. At the end of the day, like.
Yeah, a lot of times the difference between someone's best hero in a role and their second best is really wide. Like that's part of the variance of your games. So
yeah,
if you get lucky and do ban one of those out, that can be a huge boon.
I have not had time to practice Diablo, and I'm still having to tell people you don't want me on Diablo. Like, yeah, I know a show and tank. You don't want me on that tank. I know it's free. I know it's good. I'm not your man. No. Yeah, it's I just don't like with Uther. I'm just not seeing a lot of Uther, so I'm not sure I'd be taking a pick away from anyone, even if like that
it's
ETC.
optimal, yeah,
exactly. If I'm seeing picks that should scare me, but I'm also taking a bet, right? The stars might align. They might have the best Uther in my league, and I just completely ruin the game for myself by not banning it. But that's where my mindset goes. I was just curious if either of you thought I was crazy.
No, I think it's reasonable.
No, I mean, hiding the names has been very helpful too in Hero League for that reason.
Oh yeah. Because if I saw Tarask, I would ban Uther every time.
I don't get to do that much anymore. I'm almost all tank these days because I need that soak. Got to get soaked, and went on Blaze, and Blaze been a weird journey this season from basically all Blaze all the time to hang on, who's gonna get the Hanzo? All right, I'm Diablo, and now I'm a little back on the Blaze train because Diablo's getting first bans.
I don't mind seeing that. It was not that long ago where I saw Diablo and I was like, cool, free kills. And it's not the case anymore.
It's a wild ride. It's a lot of fun to track why Diablo can go from, Malfurion rework period where he was just terrible. And then what's really changed? Other than the fact, yeah, he's got the kind of the best spell shield in the game really early on. He's got Apocalypse, and we all, I think, sort of as a community went, oh, their backs are on the wall. We activate Apocalypse, slam into the wall, Apocalypse hits, or you do the whole push them, pick them up on the Apocalypse. And once we all figured out that combo in a double tank meta with Devastate Charge, everything was just perfect.
Mm-hmm.
And where will we go next? It's certainly not cleanse. There's no cleanses left in the game. It's weird. Fun, but weird.
Yeah, it's been an interesting journey for sure. Well, shall we wrap this up with an email? I'll take that as a yes.
Yeah, we both nodded.
Does anyone else hear that buzzing?
Hold on. Darkness just texted me.
I looked down at my tablet for the soundboard. Send your emails to itncast@gmail.com. Josh writes in and says, since the beginning of the season, I have been queuing for Team League as part of a 5-man. We have been playing a lot of games together and really have really come into form. We recently went on a 13-game Team League win streak, having a ton of fun playing together. I am finding it very difficult and unenjoyable to queue for games without the squad. It feels as though the game isn't being played right now, or being played right without a team environment. Any thoughts, recommendations, or advice? What sort of things do you guys work on during solo play? Your last question, that's it. Just ask yourself that question. What do you need to work on? Give yourself a goal. Or I'm of two minds. You need to come up with a goal and execute on that goal, or it's happy fun time. Like, go into quick match and just play bonkers heroes that you have no experience with, have some fun, and one way or the other, I think you just need to divorce your mind. Like Team League, all right, it's on. Game face on. I'm wearing shoes if I'm Kyle Fergusson, because apparently Kyle can't do anything and try hard if he's not wearing shoes. And when they're not around, treat the game differently. I don't treat it like playing a second game. I think is the easiest mindset to put yourself in. But I will now yield the floor.
I definitely empathize with this predicament. Let's say, just being in a team, it really is a different game. It's a completely different beast. I think those are pretty much the two best ways to deal with it. Either pick a specific thing you can work on, like mechanics or knowledge of this hero and how it plays in its interactions. Playing alone is a perfect time to learn a new hero. You don't want to burden your friends with hey guys, this is my first game on my Av. I'm sure it's going to go great. Do that on your own, right? I mean, not to say you can't learn new heroes with your friends as long as everyone goes in with the same plan. As far as treating it like a different game, I've never really been one for kind of like trolling and messing around on my own, like doing crazy stuff, but go for it. Like, that's what quick match is for if you have to play alone. But yeah, I just find the game way more enjoyable with the group as well. So
it's tough, particularly when I get invested in Hero League again, and particularly on old characters like this Diablo kick I'm on. I require certain things like soaking to be done for my Diablo to progress, and I love playing support, but I can't play support with my friends, and it bums me out. I love support so much, but that lane doesn't get soaked, and there's a lot of things I see that start to upset me and my balance, and I still feel this way about Leoric. I haven't played Leoric seriously since probably his release year, but I remember Skeletal swinging a whole lane and the towers, and they all explode, and that doesn't happen now. My brain goes, what the heck is this? Why'd you kill my character? And that's more that design and balance side of things. I find that when I play with friends, a really universal hero, something that maybe I don't play in Hero League, like my favorite for that is Alarak. It's so different. It's so exciting. There's some solo ability. I don't have to get upset if I'm stuck in the 4-man, because that's great. I want to stack after. I can solo lane. It's fine. I've been really struggling with that on Diablo recently.
Struggling with not what? Diablo you want to play alone or you want to play with friends?
Just, yeah, exactly. Playing with friends on Diablo, because I just have a lot of expectations from the main mode that I play in Diablo in Hero League.
Oh, gotcha. You're tying it back into the soaking.
Exactly. So
gotcha.
I'm making moves, and they are very obvious and even uncommunicated in Diamond. But then I go grip up with my buddies, and it doesn't go that way, and it can get very frustrating. So I just bring out something else. Just something bonus, something fun.
Yeah, you can. That's a good way to think about it too. You can have passions for different game modes.
I mean, yeah. I have to imagine that. Like, I mean, you want a BlizzCon with Rhaegars and such. Like, are you ever on Rhaegar and you're just going, man, I've won better games than this.
Yeah, it's different. Like, going from playing competitive, like, you just know what everyone on your team is gonna do at all times. Like, you know how they're going to behave in certain situations. It is just a completely different game. So I think for me, one of the things that keeps me playing solo queue is the stream, right? Like, I'm not really playing, I'm streaming, and like, so I get more fun out of like when something silly happens because my teammate is doing questionable decisions. I get additional enjoyment out of that because I'm also providing that to an audience. And like that keeps me interested in playing alone, for example. Whereas, you know, if I didn't have a stream, I wouldn't really want to play alone because I would get too frustrated with that experience, you know?
Yeah, that's why I love Hero League Nubarak so much with Cocoon, because I always feel like I'm solving a puzzle. And I'm looking at the board, I'm saying, yeah, Hanzo's top damage, but actually Maev does all the team fight. Like, who goes in the Cocoon? And figuring that over the course of the game, like, gives me this additional objective that's very rewarding. Same thing with Ancestral Heal Rhaegar. Luther, Divine Shield, like, I took Luther because I know that guy's getting Divine Shield already.
Yeah. But Rhaegar's like, is that guy worth Ancestraling?
Yeah, is my Diablo...
He's not doing much.
Yeah, is he good enough for it? Maybe I'll do it on... Oh, doing it on the Tracer in the back actually caused the entire enemy team to collapse on her, and now they're out of position. We won. Oh, what a fantastic puzzle.
Oh, God, there's two of you now. Two people that heal people based on a popularity contest.
It's better than it was in middle school, man. You know? We have numbers. We get to see how cool they are.
Oh, I thought you were going to say because you're the one deciding this time.
I ran for some class chairs and failed horribly multiple times.
I put my head down and tried to avoid other human beings.
Yeah, people didn't care about if battle cruisers or carriers would win in a fight, so they didn't really understand my argument.
I can see how that would be challenging.
Kyle, if you ran for public office now, I would vote for you, just based on that right there. You have my vote, sir.
What we need to do is raise the XP of the community. We got to get the taxes flowing in so we can turn those into a victory.
Kyle, are you saying that the level deficit is too damn high?
Yes, I'm saying that we need to double down, tighten our belts, and soak the damn lane, America.
Wonderful. We should also probably take this next email. Tufta writes in and says, I play regularly with 3 of my friends. I usually assume the role of shot caller and try to keep us all organized, but sometimes feel my own awareness or knowledge does let us down. We all really want to improve. I have encouraged them to pick 2 to 3 heroes in each role to routinely play as and try to master. However, I feel like this leads to situations where, depending on pick order, we end up on different roles every time. Would you recommend we find a class that we prefer and stick with them regardless of draft pick orders, or would you suggest something else entirely? Lastly, what would you suggest is the best way to pass on advice and correct our mistakes? Well, if our earlier conversation was anything, it's very hard to pass on advice. But we'll take this in stages. Okay, so first off, the picks. This is a conversation I feel like we come back around to fairly regularly here, which is there's a lot of heroes in Heroes of the Storm now. That wasn't always true. It definitely wasn't true when this show started, but it is very much the case now. There's a lot of heroes and a lot of differences between them, if just having the conversation we had between Stukov and Malfurion was any indication. But I mean, Dunk, it's your first time being back. I'm going to throw to you. What's your kind of opinion on this? Because we have in our minds, I feel like it's this constant battle of the pick that would be best based on our meta knowledge and based on the direction the draft is going versus the pick we can actually play.
I think if you want to improve as a player fastest, it's like there's tiers, right? Like I think the fastest way to improve as a player is to actually play just one hero over and over, because there's less variables and you can learn more about all the other stuff fastest. And then like not quite as fast as that is like playing one role all the time. And then not quite as fast as that, but you get like a more general knowledge is playing more, fill, like I do every role. So I think you have to kind of balance like how much fun do I have playing a smaller subset of heroes? How fast do I want to improve? So it just depends what you're really looking for. I think if like I play with a few of my buddies, we all have fun regardless of what we play. Having each person pick a role and like sticking to that, even if you think it messes up your draft a little, is probably worth it if you guys, and each of you enjoys playing a smaller subset of heroes. It just depends.
I found it very useful to and we're throwing around like role and maybe like class or what their job is on the map. Like it basically, they're kind of doing the same thing. They're engaged tank. And actually, John has put a lot of work into getting better on engaged tank. And for our sweet Deckard Cain comp, we put him on Butcher. And lo and behold, months after tanking, he became a good Butcher because of all the knowledge he gained on when to engage on something like Diablo or ETC or even Leoric. And to see that advancement just felt so good. Also, we have a support player who always plays support. It's not because so much that that's his role. He loves Jaina. He loves other things too. It's that when he gets dove, he screams. He always screams, "Oh, help me, help me, help me." And sometimes, like, he's on a character that doesn't require that much attention. And it was actually bad of us to put him on tank because he's saying, "Help me, I'm a hoe." And you're like, "You're the tank, dude. Take it." But that's a great tool for us when he's on Stukov or any support, because if he starts screaming, yeah, we should do something about that.
Yeah, I found this to be true in any competitive game. It's like, at least, and for me personally, like I'm gonna use Hearthstone as my example, because I find in Hearthstone my game knowledge is the lowest when I'm playing the most different decks. I have the least amount of understanding of matchups, what's favored, what's unfavored, even what cards to expect being played from my opponent, because too much of my mind is spent trying to learn how to play multiple different decks. So when I play a single deck, a lot of games, I get my knowledge comes from everyone else's deck. I experience all the other decks by playing against them, and I run into scenarios, and I start to be able to I can see what's about to happen next. You know what card they're about to play. And the same is true for Heroes of the Storm. My game knowledge feels a lot better right now because I have been one-tricking Sonya like crazy and shamelessly. Sorry, Zagara. I miss you, but Sonya just does your job better and is a tank. But like I feel like my game knowledge is a lot better right now because I've just been playing this one hero and I've seen tons of different scenarios, but I've seen the same scenario over and over and over and over again, and I'm not worried about my own hero. Now I'm worried about taking in the overall game knowledge, the way that the game is progressing, what the enemy comp is doing. So I really would recommend to increase your overall game knowledge. Like, stick to your picks as much as you possibly can. And you have more control. Like, you don't have a full 5 stack, so you're not in complete control. Also, I'm assuming you're drafting, so there's going to be bans and there's going to be counter picks and yada, yada, yada. Mm-hmm. But you have more control than most, so I would leverage that. I have fun with it. You know, like, this is my hero. There are many like it, but this one is mine. Like, really, you know, plant your flags and stick to it. And this just makes me want to play in a team more often. I'm jealous. I'm jealous of both our emailers today.
It's good. But well, you get to join us for family night, which is a pretty, you know, low key with my brother and sister-in-law. But yeah, it's you get to play on that team.
Yeah, no, dude, that's like my favorite. I look forward to that. It doesn't happen every week, but when it does happen, I'm like, yeah, this is gonna be the chillest Heroes session ever. That's nice because I usually am the smack talker, but with Kristen, there's no point. She's the best smack talker I've ever met in my life. So I just sit there and I'm entertained by Kristen just smack talking everyone she murders.
Yeah, she likes to throw down. It's a sin that she's on my stream, which is PG. Because you should listen to her play Dark Souls, man. It's a treat.
I have tuned in a few times. It's wondrous. It's absolutely wondrous. Anyways, folks, keep those emails coming. itncast@gmail.com. This is going to bring us to the end of the show. Got to thank our patrons over at patreon.com/ITN for supporting us. We're still bouncing back after the proposed Patreon changes that did not go through. So we're technically below the Dunk Train goal right now, but that doesn't matter. We had him on anyway. He's getting paid for this, or are you? Did I just not tell you we're not paying you for this, Dunk? No, I'm kidding, of course. But yeah, if you like Into the Nexus, if you enjoy having guests like Dunk Train on, we actually pay our guests for their time as a result of the support over at Patreon, and we really appreciate it. So check it out, patreon.com/ITN. We have some newer patrons to thank this episode. Thank you to Richard H., Sam G., Marsh R., and Michael D., as well as our producers, Declan H. and Cheesy Bob. We really appreciate the generosity, you two. Into Nexus t-shirts, which eventually I will get the new logo up over there. And when that happens, these shirts are going to be retired, so they're not going to be around that much longer. So go get yourself what will soon become a vintage Into the Nexus t-shirt over at shirts.amove.tv. We also have pint glasses, wine glasses, stuff like that at etched.amove.tv. We're live Thursday nights, typically at 5 p.m. Eastern time now. If you missed the announcement, we are going earlier to make our lives a little more sane. And be a part of our family on Thursday evenings, which is very nice. Today we did even earlier than that, but it's normally at 5 p.m. Eastern. You can follow the show on Twitter when things like schedule changes happen. That's the best place to find out. It is at ITNcast. And around the table before we go, Dunk, where can everybody find you streaming Heroes, maybe Hearthstone?
Yeah, everyone can catch me on twitch.tv/DunkTrain or on Twitter @DunkTrain to see when I go live. That's about it. I'm simple.
I heard you're going to be getting in on some Dominaria.
Yeah, I actually played some Magic Gathering Arena. I was in a Dominaria promo event yesterday, actually. It was sweet. I brewed a no-creature, like, red, blue, green deck where I just, like, ramped and then used big burn spells to, like, kill people.
Dude, that was nasty, man.
It was so much fun.
What was the double card you had? That would clone your
the
spell.
Copy?
Yeah.
It's a new... So Magic... Oh, God. Okay, I'm not going to nerd out on Magic, but they just released, like, a new card type called Saga, where, like, it's an event from Magic's history, like, conceptually, which is what this new expansion's all about. And, like, it progresses over your turns through different events. And the one I was playing was called the Mirari Conjecture. And on your third turn of having it in play, it doubles all your spells that turn. So if I play a big spell to deal damage to the opponent, it doubles it, and then I just, like, one-shot them. That was how I was winning my games.
Gross.
You're feel free to nerd out on Magic ever. So real quick, if you haven't heard the story, folks, the first time I ever met Dunk was at the first DreamHack Austin. Ended up at a random barbecue joint with him and Jake. And I'm always trepidatious of meeting pro gamers because I never know. Like, some of them are kind of jocks, and I don't get along with jocks. And so I'm like, oh man, I really like Dunk. I don't know if I want to meet him. And he just started nerding out about Magic and Pokemon, and I was just like, oh shit. Well, now I have to invite him on the show because he's my kind of nerd. So yeah, go for it. It's a safe place for Magic nerdery on.
It's a Magic safe place. That's good.
Yeah, exactly. Kyle, how about you, dude?
You can find me this week over at youtube.com/Kyle Fergusson. Definitely check out that Diablo tips and tricks video I just put up. There is no reason why anyone in any league shouldn't be playing Diablo right now, and he's being banned in my league, so please play him because I can't. And that'll be all this week. No, there will be dungeons this weekend. Scott's in Vegas.
If you see me on your team, please pick Diablo because I can't play him either. I'm Garrett Art on Twitter. All of the podcasts are at amove.tv. If you're not aware of it, Kyle and I do a morning show on Mondays called Week Sauce. It is all one word. Week is spelled like days of the week because we help you get your week started. We talk about everything except Heroes of the Storm. So there'll probably be a little bit of Infinity War discussion on this upcoming Monday. Not too much, though, because I'm also recording a spoiler episode of Embrace the Spoilers. They're all spoiler episodes later that same day. But talk a little bit about it. Other than that, check out nomoonart.com. That is my graphic design portfolio. I am taking commissions right now. You can contact me there. Also, if you would like lessons, you can sign up for a 1-hour lesson there. That's going to do it for this episode. Thanks again, Dunk, for coming by. Thank you all for listening. Until next time, good luck and have fun.
Take care.
Rolling out.
I'm going to get a train whistle soundbite just so I can start playing it against your will.
Well, then you have to remind me before the show.
That's right.
I never think about it.
At the end, yeah.
Until you say it.
I never think about it.
Until you say it, yep. Or you know what? One of the times I'm just going to screw with you. I'm just going to get Optimus Prime saying roll out, and I'm just going to play it over you talking.
That would be even better. That would be awesome.
That was a great
Prime.
show, gents. That was a very a web to weave through this information, but we did a great job getting through it all.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, it's good.
No, there was a point there in the middle where I was just like, I'm just going to let them talk. They're having a great conversation. I have nothing to add.
I love that you were like, there's two of them.
Oh yeah, the live or die via. You're literally the dude from Gladiator. You both are sitting there with your thumbs sideways. It's like, let me open up the damage tab. Oh, sorry, you're lower than the tank. You're gonna die. That's how I imagine you guys deciding who you're gonna heal.
It's a cruel power that is way too satisfying.
Yeah,
you're gonna die because you suck.
It hit me in the brain. I was like, this is too funny not to say, and I just had to accuse you two of being the same mad healers. But,
love it.
Yeah, Dunk,
right,
dude.
You get out of here.
Always full. I gotta edit the show, but yeah, chat room, you've been awesome. I gotta edit the show and post it as soon as I can because I gotta get on the road. But stream's going down. Thanks.